let's talk about a huge problem in trading. We're going to explore why so many people who get into it end up failing and how we can fix it with one really powerful idea: thinking of your trading as a blueprint. Let's dive in.
So, why do most traders fail? It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You study, you put in the hours, but the results just aren't there. The whole industry can sometimes feel like it's designed to turn you into a gambler. And when you lose, it's easy to think, this is impossible. But the real reason for failure? It's usually a lot simpler, and it has absolutely nothing to do with luck.
And this right here, is the core issue. Imagine you walk up to a builder and you say, "Hey, build me a house. One that I'm gonna like." It sounds crazy, right? You would never, ever do that. But that's exactly how most people start trading, with a vague hope and zero concrete plan. They're asking the market to build them a mansion without even sketching out the floor plan. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to architect our own success. First, we'll define what a blueprint even is. Then, we'll figure out a trading style that actually fits your personality. After that, we'll draft the must-have parts of the plan, go through the construction phase of learning, and finish with you becoming the king of your very own castle. Okay, first things first, we've got to totally shift how we think about this. Successful trading isn't about making wild guesses and hoping for the best. No, it's a deliberate, structured process. It's like being an architect, carefully designing a house that you're going to love living in for years. This idea is just so fundamental. What it means is, before you even think about placing a trade, your number one job is to be an architect. You have to define the structure, the rules, the style of your trading. Because no one, not a mentor and definitely not the market, can just build you a profitable system and hand it to you. You've got to design it yourself. And a huge part of being a good architect is knowing who you're building for. In this case, you're building for yourself. So the kind of house you build has to match your personality. This isn't about what's the best strategy out there. It's about what's the best strategy for you. Are you more of a fast-paced, modern condo kind of person, or a patient, sturdy, old-school colonial? The connection here is, it's super direct. If you're someone who thinks fast, adapts quickly, you're always changing your mind, well, the high-energy pace of intraday trading might be a perfect fit. But if you're more patient, more methodical, and it takes a lot of evidence to change your mind, you're probably going to feel way more at home with swing or position trading, where things play out over days or even weeks. And listen, this is a hard rule. It is non-negotiable. You cannot win a war against your own nature. It doesn't matter how profitable a strategy looks on a spreadsheet if trying to execute it makes you a stressed-out mess. The whole point is to build a house you're actually comfortable living in. All right, so you've picked your style. Now it's time to actually get out the pencil and paper and draft the blueprint. These are the specific, concrete components that give you structure and discipline. Without them, you're not trading, you're just gambling. Let's look at the absolute pillars of your plan. Your blueprint needs 4 solid pillars to stand on. Pillar 1, the market. You have to master one thing. Forget being a jack of all trades. Pick one instrument like the S&P 500 and learn its every nuance. Pillar 2, the time. Define your business hours. Trading isn't a 24/7 casino. Pick a session, say the New York morning, and stick to it. Pillar 3, the rules. These must be written down crystal clear. What exactly triggers an entry? What tells you to exit? No gray areas. And finally, the most important pillar of all, the risk. You must define your maximum loss before you ever click the button. This is the foundation that holds the whole thing up.
And when we're talking about risk, especially when you're just getting started, I want you to think small, like ridiculously small, 0.5%. Why? Because in the beginning, your job is not to get rich. Your job is to protect your money, and even more importantly, to protect your head. This tiny risk lets you learn the process without the emotional roller coaster of big losses.
Okay, the blueprint is drafted. Now comes the construction phase. And let's be real, this takes time and commitment. You're not going to learn this in a weekend course. You need to give yourself a real runway. A full year is a good target to just learn, to practice, and to build your skill, all without the pressure of having to make money.
I love this analogy. Think about it like you're Bob Ross. Every morning, your chart isn't something to be afraid of. It's a blank canvas. To an amateur, that canvas is terrifying. It's just a bunch of unknown. But to a professional who understands their craft, they see a canvas full of opportunity. They expect to create art. And, Bob Ross didn't paint his masterpieces by just throwing every color he owned at the canvas, right? He had a few core brushes and colors he mastered. It's the exact same thing in trading. Don't clutter your chart with 57 different indicators. Start with just a few core paintbrushes, a couple of key concepts, and get really, really good with them. Build that solid foundation first. Then, and only then, do you start adding new tools to your arsenal. Which brings us to a critical, absolutely required part of this learning phase, demo trading. This isn't just practice, it's your laboratory. Its only purpose is to test your blueprint and learn how to read price action in a controlled environment. The second you put real money on the line, your brain switches from, is my process working, to, am I making money? And for a trader who's still learning, that is a fatal shift. So, you do all this work. You draft the blueprint, you find your style, you put in the hours of practice, and it all leads to this. This is the end game, becoming the king of your own castle, operating with total confidence, not in some guru on the internet, but in the house that you designed and you built.
So, what does it actually feel like to be there? Well, for one, you genuinely love your system because it's yours, it fits you. You stop looking at what everyone else is doing on Twitter, you don't get FOMO, you don't compare your profits and losses. You are completely, totally comfortable just sitting on your hands and doing nothing if your blueprint doesn't give you a clear signal. You're just minding your own business.
And really, it all boils down to this one powerful idea. This is the ultimate goal for any self-reliant trader. Don't worry about your neighbor's fancy new car. Don't get distracted by hype. Build your castle on your land with your blueprint, and then rule it. See, this process isn't about just copying somebody else's plan. It's about giving you the tools to become your own architect. You have the framework now. You have the guidance. So the only question left is, what's your blueprint going to look like?